That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Clarice bent me over on my knees and started pushing my head toward the toilet bowl. It reeked like rusted pipes and, well, like what goes in toilets. I strained to keep my head up. I was looking at the scummy water, thinking, I will not go into that. I won't. Then something happened. I felt a tug in the pit of my stomach. I heard the plumbing rumble, the pipe shudder. Clarice's grip on my hair loosened. Water shot out of the toilet, making an arc straight over my head, and the next thing I knew, I was sprawled on the bathroom tiles with Clarice screaming behind me. I turned as the water blasted out of the toilet again, hitting Clarice straight in the face so hard it pushed her down onto her butt. The water stayed on her like the spray from a fire hose, pushing her backward into the shower stall. She struggled, gasping, and her friends started coming toward her. But then the other toilets exploded too, and 6 more streams of toilet water blasted them back. The showers acted up too, and together all the fixtures sprayed the camouflage girls right out of the bathroom, spinning them all around like pieces of garbage being washed away. As soon as they were out the door, I felt the tug in my gut loosen, and the water shut off as quickly as it had started. As we pass through the borders of camp on Half-Blood Hill, we pass a very special pine tree that strengthens the magical border of camp and keeps all the monsters out. Over there is the big house, the lake, the mess hall, and some other fun stuff.
The big house is where you can often find the camp director, Mr. D, aka Dionysus, the Greek god of wine, madness, and theater. The activities director, Chiron, will be training heroes like you and me, different ways to fight, like sword fighting and archery, and also how to read and speak ancient Greek.
Now I see you looking unsure about all of this, because it seems even weirder than just being the weird kid at school. You've probably got either ADHD or dyslexia, or even both. Your ADHD is just your battle reflexes, and your dyslexia is your brain trying to read ancient Greek instead of whatever your native tongue may be. Those abilities are exactly why you belong at camp. Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Taylor from Cabin 6.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13. So this chapter is a real shit show we just read? Yeah? Yeah?
I hate you.
This is the best. I get the best reactions from her every week.
I wish this was a visual form purely for my face.
Just so you can see, like, the just disdain on her face.
Charlie doesn't tell me what they're gonna say before we record. The first couple, yeah. But the last episode and this one, I didn't know. And so my reaction is normally just, I hate you.
It's great because I usually come up with it like 5 minutes before we record. I love it.
We're really organized here at Of the Eldest Gods.
Oh, very organized.
We have a spreadsheet. That's what's important.
So before we talk about the chapter today, we got some fun Rick Riordan news. He's coming out with a new book.
Woot woot.
Fun stuff. And it's not mythology related. Sad to say.
Not sad woot woot.
And I think that's basically all we know about it. It's called Daughter of the Deep.
And it's more YA than mid-level.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's more YA. And it's coming out in October. Does it have a date? I
don't remember if I saw a date or not.
It's October. That's what we know. It doesn't have an official cover yet.
Rick didn't really release too much about it, but he did release that it was happening.
Yeah, I went crazy on our Instagram when I found out, so it's like, what? I'm excited. I love Rick Riordan content. more stuff to cover on the pod, maybe.
I was gonna, so we covered that. Do we then also have to cover all of the Rick Riordan Presents books?
Oh, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
I started buying them. I want to read them.
Fine, we'll just be here for 20 years.
We have a lot of content. That's the thing. We will never run out of content. Yeah,
really, we're 60 and reading stuff associated with Rick Riordan.
We got at least, 10 years out of the stuff that he has already written, so...
Join us for the ride of our lives being consumed by Rick Riordan.
And Taylor will get sick of me by the end of this year, so...
I haven't gotten sick of you yet. And last episode we talked about Dionysus for 30 minutes straight, so...
And you enjoyed that. I know you did.
I did. I very much did enjoy it.
I just went off. Okay, so what was this chapter about, Taylor?
Yeah, if you didn't do your reading, here's the stuff that did a thing in the chapter. Chiron shows Percy around the beautiful camp. There's an arena, stables, a big outdoor eating area surrounded by huge columns overlooking the sea, a fully stocked forest, and more. Campers are staring at Percy everywhere he goes. The Minotaur horn probably is a big red flag. Percy gets a little creeped out by a figure on the 4th floor of the big house, but Chiron assures him there is nothing living up there. I'm sure that won't be brought up ever again. We finally see the cabins associated with the 12 Olympians, some of which do not have any campers. Percy unceremoniously enters Cabin 11 with the Hermes kids. Cabin 11 takes in all undetermined or unclaimed campers because he is the god of travelers. Annabeth and Percy are accosted by Clarice from the Ares cabin. She takes Percy to his hazing. That doesn't end up well for Clarice, and it all reminds me of how terrible Nancy Bobofit was at the beginning. Damn Nancy Bobofit. I think this is the last time we hear Nancy Bobofit's name.
Oh yeah, she will never be mentioned again.
I'm pretty sure, that is officially the last time we hear of Nancy Bobofit.
No more Boba Fett.
Nancy Bobofit.
Does that make, Clarice's Mando? The more important one.
I guess she is okay.
See, I just see her name and I think Queen Clarice from Princess Diaries.
Oh, so
and I'm just
true.
Well, that's not the same person.
About as opposite as you can really get.
Yeah.
While still being, a semi-good person. I'm not saying Clarice is gonna be great, especially after this chapter, but...
Yeah.
In comparison to the Minotaur, I guess she's doing real swell.
Her morality is good. How about that?
There we go.
Technically.
She's
a dick, but she wants to do, she wants good to prevail in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say chaotic good would be her.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Clarice.
So, why the fuck are we? Is it that?
Yeah,
is that what we're doing this year?
I still was not able to figure out where Camp Half-Blood would be located.
Today, what are we doing? Why the fuck are we?
I don't know why the fuck we are this year. I mean, it's been semi better than 2020, but
let's not talk about this. Tell me about the history.
Okay, so the two things I wanted to bring up today, because I still haven't figured out where Camp Half-Blood would be located on the Sound.
Did you try looking that up again?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out. Can't figure it out. Nobody's really figured it out. So, you get some more weird history from me. The first part's not as weird. I just wanted to mention when Percy is walking through the camp, he sees the amphitheater and the columns that surround the pavilion where they eat. It doesn't specifically tell us which type of columns they are, and it's very important to me that people know that there are differences in Greek columns.
There are. I know this. I don't remember what the differences are, but there are different ones.
So there's the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian.
Yes.
And then they can often get put in with the Tuscan and Composite, which are the Roman orders. The Greek specifically are the first three. So the Doric is very, like, plain. It's normally, like, square up at the top and might have, like, slight engravings on them, but normally very plain.
Okay.
The Ionic, it almost looks like scrolls up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed a lot of people pick that as their favorite type. And then the Corinthian, it almost looks like flowers growing out of it, like long leaves.
Okay.
I think they are supposed to be leaves.
I can picture all these. I know what these look like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are supposed to be leaves, but you know. I think I'm actually a fan of the Doric. I like how plain they are, and like they're the kind used on the Pantheon. On most of the pillars, there are some Corinthian, but I like how simple they are, and the whole thing with the Pantheon specifically. Oh, I just said Parthenon has the Doric, Pantheon has Corinthian. Words. Ugh.
We're having time over here today.
I'm just like, I see like the P word in my notes, and I'm like, they're so close.
The P word?
Anyhow.
Poop?
Yeah. Yep, poop. Parthenon, which is the one in Athens, like, the whole point is it was supposed to symbolize the strength and balance of Athens. And I feel like the Doric columns are just, they don't need all the embellishments to be strong.
Yeah.
So that is why I personally prefer the Doric. But I do understand that a lot of people pick the Ionic, and I see why. I can't get behind the Corinthian. I'm not a fan. Not a fan, man. So they sort of died off after the fall of Rome, just like most things during the Middle Ages, but then popped back up during the Renaissance. So that's why you see it all throughout American architecture. It picked up then, and since the founding of our beloved country was during the Enlightenment period right after the Renaissance, that is why we still get a lot of the classical architecture in our buildings. The other thing I want to mention, when Percy is entering cabin 11, the Hermes cabin, he sees the Caduceus up above as he's entering. The Caduceus is often associated with medicine. We'll talk more about the myth and like backstory of it next book. It like shows up again, but I want to specifically address it as a symbol of medicine. So if you have ever looked at like an emergency symbol, like the blue star, and it has a rod and a snake on it, that's actually the rod of Asclepius. Words.
Is it Asclepius or Asclepius? I can't.
I think it might be.
It's one of those. I know it is.
Yeah. What we've learned so far is that it's often both. Do you not remember the Minotaur conversation?
Yeah.
So, whatever you want to call it. It's actually a rod with one snake. That is the traditional sign of medicine and is thought to be the most associated even back into the ancient Greeks. The reason
Asclepius was the god of medicine, so, and Hermes is not.
Yay! So, the reason we often associate the Caduceus with medicine is because they were using the rod for a while, and then about in the late 1800s, the Surgeon General and some other people in the army decide that they liked the Caduceus better and how it looked.
So now it has two snakes and like the wings.
Yeah, and, like, you'll still see the rod, and like I said, like, the emergency symbols and everything, but the medical department of the United States Army officially recognizes the Caduceus. So
they're just wrong.
Yeah, it's basically all comes down to ignorance.
I mean, so
which is most things.
I didn't make this joke first, but one of my favorite YouTubers, Overly Sarcastic Productions, just like, yeah, Hermes, like the most marketable god. That's why he's everywhere. His symbols are everywhere. So it makes sense to me that, like, they would choose his symbol aesthetically.
The interesting thing is like, Apollo is more associated with healing.
Yes, he is.
Like, we'll
Asclepius
see.
is like his son, I think, too. So.
Yeah, it's something like directly related to him. So, and not really a spoiler, but like, Apollo's kids have to show their medical skills at some point because it's just that's part of their godly duties.
Yeah,
not the Hermes kids, the Apollo kids.
The Hermes kids, what are they good at? They're good at stealing shit.
They're tricky fellows.
I love me a trickster deity.
So that is what I wanted to say about the Caduceus. We can blame its like popularity on the fact that it was aesthetically better than the rod of Asclepius.
Just saying, Hermes is just the most marketable god. You know, he's got mass market appeal.
He also produces many children.
Yeah. He has too many kids, but also his cabin is not just full of his own kids. So,
are you gonna introduce the new name for the Myth Corner?
The new name for the no longer untitled Myth Corner, because Andrew helped me name it. It's now called In Case You Mythed It.
God bless.
Oh, where's the applause? Where's the applause? If anyone can hear that, Taylor was clapping.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. If you're listening to this is a test. We finally used it.
Yes, so do me a teach, please.
So, for this week's In Case You Mythed It, fun fact, I was supposed to do Nectar and Ambrosia this week, and I fucked up and I did it last week, because I don't know why. I had it written down for this week, and then I looked at that, and then I did everything wrong. But it's fine.
And neither of us checked.
I don't think it was spoilery, so it's fine.
No, it wasn't.
If you go into, like, this book not knowing that there are demigods, like, sorry.
Oh, we spoiled that
know
immediately.
what you expected.
Well, it's spoiled in the first page because Percy tells you.
He doesn't actually say demigod. This is the first time we, like, hear about, like, people being children of gods, is in this chapter.
Oh, he calls himself a half-blood.
Yeah. They still don't actually say demigod in this chapter. But I'll talk about that in a second when we get to the actual chapter. Anyway, this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the 12 Olympians, because we have the 12 cabins. And spoilers, they're the 12 Olympians. That's what they are. Did they actually say it in this chapter? I feel like
yes, they did.
It was just like, he did. Okay.
Yes.
Forgot that. Listen, I read it like right before this, and I already forgot the details of the chapter. It's fine.
What is ADHD?
That is the ADHD. I forget everything. Okay, so we got Zeus, the big king of the gods, and his wife Hera, who's also his sister. It's mythology. It's fine. Everybody's related, and they're also all married. And Hera's like, of course she has to be like the goddess of marriage, you know. Mm-hmm. And Zeus is like the god of like the sky, and Poseidon, god of the seas, and then Demeter, goddess of the harvest, Athena, goddess of wisdom, Apollo, god of 50 bajillion things, but mostly like the sun. Just look up Apollo. He's got too many things he's the god of.
Yeah, we talk about Hermes being, like, really marketable. Can we talk about Apollo?
I mean, just... I'll go into Apollo someday. He's got a lot going on. There's a whole series about him. We'll talk about him someday. We got his twin sister, Artemis, goddess of the hunt. Ares, god of war. Aphrodite, goddess of love. Hephaestus, god of blacksmithing. The marketable god Hermes. The messengers. The travelers. That's what he is.
The thieves.
God of traveling.
The thieves.
That's why he's got like 50 bajillion wings on his outfit. He's always going places. And then the 12th Olympian, well, that depends on the source. Sometimes it's Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. Hearth. That's what it is.
Hearth.
That is hearth. I can't pronounce things.
That's fine.
This is English and I can't pronounce it.
We are really bad at saying anything.
This is audio and I can't speak. That's the problem here. And then our sweet boy, Dionysus, is the other option. Who I've talked about at length. See the last episode.
We only talked about him a tiny bit.
We should have just devoted an entire episode to him. Like...
Yeah, we shouldn't have even gone through the chapter. It was just
talk about Dionysus and how weird and fucked up he is. Okay, so it depends on the source which of them is the 12th one, but Rick goes with Dionysus being the 12th one, and I don't know, should I mention like the thing about Hestia?
Yeah,
or is that spoilery?
I would go ahead because it's something that's like,
I mean, it's mentioned way later, but so in Rick's version, Hestia gives up her throne on Olympus for Dionysus, and that's just a made up thing that like many people have like extrapolated, but like it's never explicitly stated in mythology. That's not a thing. It just depends on the source, who is the 12th Olympian.
Yeah,
it's fun shit.
It's one of those things where it's not really a spoiler because it just is part of the myth of the 12 Olympians.
It is, but like, I don't know. It's not like common knowledge, maybe. I feel like a lot of people forget about Hestia, but I love her. You literally said earlier that she's your favorite today.
Yeah, my favorite god changes like every day, but today I'm feeling Hestia.
Hestia's great. Love her. So the 12 Olympians, that just means they're like the most important ones. They're the seated council on the mythical Mount Olympus. Yes, that is a real place in Greece. Fun fact for ya. But that's where the Greek people thought that like the gods lived and ruled, but only the 12 important ones, even though there are like 50 bajillion more other gods.
That's about the correct number. Yep. 50 bajillion. That's
just like, I'm just using that as to say that there's a lot.
No, I was agreeing. That's how many gods there are.
Okay.
I wasn't being sarcastic with you.
I can't tell when you're being sarcastic, though.
Yeah, it's my face, isn't it?
It's also your voice. You're very deadpan.
I am.
I just realized that could be a mythology joke. Deadpan. Ha. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. We'll talk about Pan someday. And how he's not dead. Yeah. Should we talk about this chapter?
Yeah.
I think that's all I got for this. The 12 Olympians are pretty simple, to be honest. They just kind of exist.
We'll super end up talking about them a lot
more. We'll close in on like each specific god when they become important. So
Hestia is always important to me.
Hestia is the best. Okay? This is a Hestia Stan podcast now. But also it's still a Sally Jackson Stan podcast.
I was gonna say, maybe I keep saying that Sally Jackson is really a daughter of Hestia, even though she's an eternal maiden.
That could work, you know? You know what? Hestia just, like, created Sally.
Yeah.
She just, like, was like, I need to create the perfect person
It's just, like,
ever.
sprinkle.
And then she just, like, created her out of, like, blue food.
Well, if you think about it, Athena has children. And, like, she's technically
we'll get into that
an
someday,
eternal maiden.
and
so
how
really,
that works.
Yeah. Really, Hestia could find her own way.
Technically, they don't explain how Athena has children till, like,
Book 3, I think.
Book 4. I looked this up. They don't actually explain it till Book 4.
Interesting. I thought it was Book 3 because of...
I had somebody who wanted to talk about that on our pod.
Okay.
So I was like, I want to look up what chapter that would be that I could possibly have you on for.
Okay. It was later than I expected.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. Okay, so I become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom. Do you become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom? Because I do.
Feels like it some days.
There's a story there, and I don't want to ask.
Oh no, it's just some days where you just spend your entire day in the bathroom.
Why?
You've never had, like, the shits or something?
Like, that's why I was like, I don't want to ask.
Well, you got confused, so I had to explain more.
Well, you weren't immediately like, you know, the shits. So I was like, is there another reason why you'd be in the bathroom all day?
Well, I mean, they do have good acoustics, so if you want to...
They do, in fact.
Just, like, have a sing-along with yourself, you could go sit in the bathtub and just...
Taylor does this very often, as you can tell.
Obviously. I'm sure my next-door neighbors would...
I just dropped my mic. It's fine. It's fine. We're still recording, right?
I just look up and it just goes...
Continue. Let's talk about the chapter.
Yeah. I just like how the word pooper scoopers in the third line. What a good word.
Yeah, like I said, we talk about shit a lot in this chapter.
Yeah, it just keeps coming.
This really is a shit show. So
just like when you get diarrhea.
So we literally start this chapter with Percy being like, I don't want to walk behind Chiron because I don't want to pick up his poop or step in it or anything. And I'm like, really, Percy? He's like this sophisticated man, and isn't he still wearing like the top half of a suit? You really think he's just gonna poop in front of you?
I mean, you don't know.
I trust Chiron. I feel like he's well trained.
Maybe Chiron's like horse half just sometimes has its own shtick.
He's immortal. Does he need to shit?
I don't know. I do picture like Dionysus sitting on the toilet.
No, I picture Dionysus sitting on the toilet because he wants to.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So like,
but I feel like if you're an immortal, maybe you don't have to.
Well, I guess they don't really have to eat food. So you wouldn't necessarily have to shit. But I think Chiron has to eat. I feel like
they do eat food, but I'm just saying, maybe they don't have to shit.
I feel like Chiron has to eat.
This is a great conversation.
I don't know.
You knew what was happening in this chapter because it's all about the bathroom. You knew.
It's like, I think we'll get back to this next chapter when they're eating dinner. We'll see if what Chiron's eating. I'm gonna be invested in it.
Also, so interesting. Percy has like been a scooper scooper. Wow.
Scooper pooper implies something else. I don't know what it is, but it implies something else.
I'm bad at speaking, okay? I don't know I'm a podcaster.
You have 2 shows even.
I have 2 shows. I don't know I'm a fucking podcaster. I'm bad at speaking. But I think I'm funny, so that's why. Anyway, Percy was a pooper scooper, so we get that's some more backstory on him. Fun. I didn't know that. I don't remember
like a
that.
lot of like New York City kids just end up having to do weird, odd jobs around the city.
Did he get money for this? Was he a volunteer? Did his mom sign him up for this?
He probably volunteered to get out of the fucking house.
You know, that's valid.
The horse poop
I just want to know why that was a
smell
thing.
better than Smelly Gabe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's my headcanon now, that Percy was just like, I want to get out of the fucking house. Mom, I'm gonna volunteer to do this shit. You want to come with me?
I could see her out there, like, doing it with him.
Yeah, she was totally happy about it. She's just like, I'm spending time with my son. I'm not around my stupid husband.
I'm on board
And
with
then they
this.
got blue food afterwards. Like,
Obviously.
it's a great day.
They dyed their turkey blue for Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness. It's like green eggs and ham, but it's like blue turkey and stuffing.
I don't want to picture it. Like, I know it's just food dye, but now that the more I think about it, the more I don't want that to be a picture in my head.
See, I don't even like turkey, so I have no problem with this.
Deep fried turkey. You just put the entire turkey in a really
I also
giant...
just hate Thanksgiving, so...
Yeah, you have many reasons to hate Thanksgiving.
Yes, I
just
do.
really love mashed potatoes so much.
I don't.
Listeners, Charlie hates all foods. I thought I
Unless
was a
it's blue.
picky... I thought I was a picky eater until I met them. And then I realized I am a fully functioning human.
You are a fully functioning human. I'm not even human, so...
Oh, that's right. We've established that. Okay.
We're all demigods, so...
Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
Even though we haven't actually said the word demigod in this fucking chapter yet.
And we never will.
I mean, we won't in this chapter. Maybe in next chapter. When the fuck do they say that they're demigods? It's like they're avoiding using the civic language for some reason.
Remember.
It's like Rick is a good writer, maybe? He's trying to keep things hidden.
Words have power. Words have power. Or names have power, sorry.
That too. That's why they keep saying Half-Blood.
So he's just trotting around with his Minotaur horn.
Yeah, they're going on a tour of camp, and Percy's just holding the Minotaur horn the whole fucking time. That's gonna be awkward.
Like, I want to know how big this horn is.
I mean, there's a picture of it on one of the covers. I think on, like, one of the original covers or something. I thought it had the horn.
If you didn't check out in episode 4, the German cover I put in the show notes, you should go back and do that.
Yeah, we also shared it in the Movie Night Crew Network Discord. Shout out to that. Maybe you could join that, but we don't have a Patreon yet, so you'd have to be a restricted section patron.
Or talk to us, we can work something out.
Hey, demand that we get a Patreon. Okay. Taylor, you're just like, you're in the zone here, what's happening?
I don't even know.
Okay, so they're going around, and Percy, like, looks back at the big house, and he's like, wow, that's, like, bigger than I thought. And he's like, there's something around in the attic. What's up there? Nothing living. There's nothing living there, that Chiron says. I'm fine with Chiron being, like, this vague about stuff that, like, doesn't matter yet. That does not matter yet. But I have a problem with a bunch of the other ways that he talks to Percy in this chapter.
Charlie has just, like, been messaging me saying I really don't like Chiron in this chapter, and I've just been trying to guess what part.
It's mostly just, like... So, I feel like Chiron just hasn't done a tour of camp in a while. He doesn't know how to, like, explain this shit to, like, the least common denominator. Just, like, explain it to someone who's never been here. Because later on, when Percy's like, oh, what happens when it rains? Chiron's, like, looking at him like, what the fuck? Chiron, he doesn't know. Explain it to him.
Chiron.
He legit doesn't know it doesn't rain there.
But then he gives,
you
like,
have to say it.
Then he gets a good explanation about the strawberry fields. That's the only good explanation he gets.
He gets a good explanation about, like, oh yeah, like, Mr. D can't make, grapes, so they gotta make strawberries, and they make money that way. It's like, explain, like, how the camp and maybe the magic works. Explain that there are monsters in the woods. He doesn't even explain that there are monsters in the woods. He's just like,
It's
you know,
like,
you gotta be
"It's
prepared when you go
stocked."
in there. Like, explain what is there. Stop being so fucking vague. You don't have to explain what's in the attic, because that doesn't matter to most campers. Because they're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna go up there.
It also gets, like, he gets so vague about Grover and the Council of Cloven Elders. First off, he doesn't explain...
What the council is.
Yeah. He doesn't explain, like, assignments. I feel like if Sally Jackson hadn't mentioned, like, if they hadn't had that conversation in the car with Sally about Grover's job, Percy would never know that Grover had a job.
I'm just, you know, if Sally was here and Sally was like, I don't know, just either if she was a demigod or she was just here with Percy and she had made it into camp, she'd just be like, okay, Chiron, you would need to explain it to Percy. He's a child. He's not going to just, like, understand what you're getting at here. You need to just say what's going on. Once again, they don't actually say the demigods in this chapter. When we get to Clarice, that is the first mention of someone being a child of a god.
Yeah.
They don't even say who Annabeth's parent is yet. So, I have problems with Chiron.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be this great teacher, and he's actually really shitty at it.
And he's just being a really bad teacher right now.
Do I want to compare him to Dumbledore here? And just be like, once again, really bad, really vague.
But I feel like Chiron cares more.
Chiron does care more. I will say that.
I'm not saying,
He's
like,
just...
Dumbledore doesn't care. I'm just saying Chiron cares more.
Well, wizards, they get into a lot of trouble, and they like to be fucking dramatic. It's all about the drama. But Chiron does care about these children, but also he's immortal. He's been around for a while, so he doesn't know how to explain things. I think that's the issue. He's old.
That must be why my students like me so much. I'm still so young, so, like, I
But
understand.
you're a boomer.
No, I'm part of the silent generation. Get it right. Okay. I can't be mad at them. The fact that they knew the silent generation was before boomers, I could only be impressed. There are a lot of things they don't understand, and the fact that they knew that, you know what? I'm on board.
Anyway, I keep interrupting you. You were gonna say something like 5 times.
Yeah, we were talking about Grover, and we finally, like, get to know exactly how old he is.
Yeah, okay, I forgot how old Grover was. 28.
Yeah, but in our years, he's 14.
Yeah, because they age half as fast.
Yeah.
It's just... The fuck? I forgot he was that old. I was like, he's in his, like, early 20s, right? No.
Nope. He's a boy.
He's a boy?
He's a boy.
He's almost a man.
He's 14.
He's 28.
No, I'm saying if you're, like, looking at it from the fact that he ages half as fast, he wouldn't really be a man until he was 36. So, he's still a boy.
Is this like how hobbits age? Because they
I was just
age,
thinking
like,
about that.
Don't they?
Yeah, they do. I forget what the exact, like... I think 30 is adult.
Is it? Okay. Because in my mind, I keep being like, 50 is adult for hobbits, right? Is it 50? But no, it's probably less than that.
50 is when both Frodo and Bilbo go on their adventures.
Yeah, because we got some, like... That's just fun, because then they're, like, old people in human years, but not in their years.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like,
we're not talking about Lord of the Rings.
Shout out to Mary Clay, and that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Go there for
We're
your Lord of the
just
Rings.
talking about every other podcast besides our own.
It's fine. We're fine. But, and that's what, like, he's not accomplished really at magic, and Chiron's been pushing him into another career, and then Percy is asking, like, what happened in Grover's past, and Chiron just shuts it down immediately.
See, that's a thing that I'm like, Chiron does not need to tell Percy that right now.
Yeah,
Percy is digesting too many things. He doesn't need to know that. He needs to know that, like, they don't get weather in Camp Half-Blood, but he doesn't need to know what happened to Grover 5 years ago.
And then, like, he brings up fucking the underworld. Like, Percy's just coming out with all the...
Percy has a lot of questions. Percy has ADHD. He grasps onto, like, whatever has been said and is like, oh, I'm gonna harp on this for, like, the next day. So... That's how we work.
And then, like, it just keeps happening. Like, the next page, he mentions the woods and, like, capture the flag and that they have a fucking armory. And Percy's just like, why does a summer camp have an armory? But Chiron doesn't talk about that.
No. But also Percy latches on to, like, the fact that Chiron said the fate of your mother specifically doesn't mention death.
Yeah,
So do you think that, like, Chiron has an inkling that Sally is maybe not dead? Or is he being purposely vague for Percy's sake?
I'm wondering how Percy explained what happened. Because if Percy describes the fact that she, like, turned into, like, gold dust, if maybe that means something to Chiron.
So,
whereas rather than her just, like, her dead body being there.
Did she turn into a golden shower? That's literally a thing in mythology!
Yeah, but damn it.
And also, that's a Perseus thing.
Yeah.
Zeus turns into a golden shower.
But yeah, it's like, it was... Because I kept describing it as pixie dust. So, like, yeah. So I'm wondering if Percy tells Chiron about, like, how she disappears rather than her just sort of, like, her dead body being there, I don't know if that would have...
Well, there wasn't a dead body.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is, like, would it be different? I don't know.
I'm just wondering if Chiron has an inkling, or if he's just being like, I don't want to say dead because this young boy
is already
grieving and he is dealing with some shit. So it could be both. Yeah. I don't know. But that's just like, he's very careful with his words.
Be true.
You know?
True.
But then we get to, like, the whole thing about what do you do when it rains, and then I get mad at Chiron again.
Yeah, we already got our madness.
I'm still mad. I'm just gonna keep being mad. And then there's, like, the whole thing about the woods, too. Okay, here we get to the cabins. Do we wanna... So which cabin is which?
You know, I love... Number 9 is Hephaestus. And I love that they describe it as, like, a tiny factory. Especially because we start to meet some of the Hephaestus kids throughout. And man, do I love them.
We don't see the inside of the Hephaestus cabin till, like, Heroes of Olympus.
It's not until Heroes, but we know a couple of them.
It's so fucking crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Demeter. It's got the tomato vines. And the roof made of grass. Just...
Hey, they're trying to be environmentally friendly. They're trying to work on that albedo. So
cool. I want to know if it's like it was just made that way, or if it's like nature has retook this...
The cabin.
this building that was already made.
7...
It's a question.
Solid gold. It's Apollo, right? Sunlight. Yeah.
Because 7 is Apollo.
Yeah.
And it gleams like sunlight, so yeah.
They don't... well, they describe, so down a little further, you get cabin 1.
Zeus and Hera's.
Yeah, being like really large, almost look like mausoleums, heavy columns.
Yep, Zeus got like lightning bolts, and Hera has...
pomegranates and flowers and peacocks.
Pomegranates?
I find interesting. Yes.
I find that interesting, because, you know, that's big in a Persephone way.
Yeah.
But peacocks make sense. Where are the cows? Hers should have cows.
Maybe
I don't like Hera, but she has cows as one of her symbols.
Pictures of cows inside the cabin.
Well,
we don't know because we never go in her cabin.
Not in this series.
Do we go in the next series?
Heroes Olympus.
Oh, I forgot.
We go into a bunch of cabins in Heroes Olympus that we never see in this series.
Yeah, I mean, that also has a plot device.
And those cabins are empty because, why? Why are they empty? Oh, we don't talk about that because we haven't talked about demigods yet. We don't know why people are in certain cabins.
Yeah, and then finally they stop in front of cabin 3. Rough gray stone, seashells and coral.
And Percy is drawn to this cabin.
And he's like tries to get in, and Chiron's like, "No, bro." And he gets like the
why
scent.
Chiron pulls him out of the cabin.
Maybe like the big 3 are. Well, I guess Hades doesn't have one, but like the first 3 cabins you're not allowed to go into because they're like the big 3, the main 3. I don't know. Because it feels like everybody else can go in and out of everybody's cabins. I don't know.
We still haven't talked about, like, the whole big 3 shit yet. Did we?
No, because it hasn't really come up yet.
We didn't talk about why they don't have kids.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
That doesn't come until later. I can't remember if it's... I think it's the end of this book. They talk about the main prophecy.
I feel like they talk about the big 3 not having kids, like, in the next couple chapters.
Oh, maybe.
Because
they would.
They still think that Percy is a child of the big 3 and everything. But also, like, this is still kind of spoilery, but, like, the fact that there are bunk beds in Poseidon's cabin, even though I know in Zeus there are no bunk beds. So I feel like would that be like a plot hole maybe?
I think that's more of a plot hole than anything.
I feel like it's a plot hole because like that should be more of a ceremonial cabin, as just like Zeus and Hera, because they don't expect him to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my little thoughts on that.
Then we come along to Ares' cabin.
Number 5. It's bright red and it looks like shit with barbed wire and a boar's
wild
head.
Boar's head, like people just arm wrestling and yelling and.
Oh, you know what we should do?
A lot of camouflage for some reason.
For maybe like a bonus episode or something, we should see if we can find the deleted chapter that Rick wrote. That was like, it was like somewhere around here where like I don't remember if it's like after they find out who his godly parent is or whatever, but it's like they're initiating him into camp and he has to like kiss the wild boar and then they throw him into the lake.
Wait, like no, I think it's before because they don't want to do it after.
Maybe that's what it is.
Because they sort of get worried about water then.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could, if we can find that, maybe we could cover it in a bonus ep or something. Because, like, that's a thing that exists and that Rick did release. So.
Yeah. Maybe over the summer after we finish the book.
Perhaps.
And then we find out why there's no other centaurs and that Chiron is really the Chiron. And then Percy has, like, a existential crisis about the fact that he should in fact be dead.
Well, like I said in the last chapter, Chiron, at least there's one story where he does die, and that's only if he's the trainer of Heracles. Why the fuck did he say Hercules? Oh my god, I just noticed that. I'm sorry, I just screamed.
Thanks, Leader Taylor's ears. I'm gonna forget it's there and then like jump backwards.
I'm sorry. What the fuck? Rick, you know better than this, don't you?
I'm just shaking my head forlornly.
I mean, I guess it's Percy saying it?
Oh, that's...
No, it's Chiron saying it. Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah, you're right.
It's Chiron saying that. Chiron, you know better than this. You know it's Heracles.
Is Chiron in both Greek and Roman?
So now
I'm trying to...
Tangent. Let me see. I feel like I mean, maybe he was borrowed, because, like, a lot of things were borrowed.
Yeah.
You know, the Romans did. They were like, oh, this is cool. Slap some new names on it and make it more their speed. But, like, Chiron feels way more Greek.
Yeah.
And I think it's... Oh my god, where's the...
No, I think it's
thing?
still Chiron.
I don't think he had a new name or anything.
Yeah, no, it's still Chiron.
But, like...
Looking at it here.
I'm sorry, I had to have, like, an existential crisis about this fucking Greek versus Roman thing. But it's very, like, tied into him possibly being the trainer of Hercules, but actually Heracles, that he would be dead. So it does make sense that that was mentioned if Percy thinks that he would be dead. So this Chiron is the trainer of Heracles.
Yeah.
But they got the name wrong.
Yes.
And I'm upset.
You gonna cry?
I'm not gonna cry, I'm just gonna have a rage fit.
Okay.
But I already had that.
But
so.
we get to meet up with Annabeth again. And so that
we do, but we still don't know what's going on with her. She's just a person who exists.
She's just reading,
and she's reading
a book
in
about
Greek.
architecture in Greek. About different kinds of columns.
Oh, except Rick doesn't know what kind of column they are. Or maybe it's because it's Percy narrating that he's like, they're Greek columns. I don't fucking know what they are.
Yeah, that
makes sense.
More
12-year-old
likely.
boy.
Yeah.
We have an unreliable narrator. That's the problem here.
Yeah. And so Chiron sort of hands Percy over to Annabeth to finish up the tour, and she brings him into cabin 11.
I still don't understand, like, why Annabeth is, like, so important to everything here. She's 12.
Because we haven't heard her backstory yet, I think it's just because
there's an older camper who has been here just as long as she has.
I know, but she's grown up in the camp. She sort of is the camp.
But so is Luke.
I know, but, like, she was 7. She doesn't have much... I mean, he was 14 when he got there. Like, he sort of had a life before camp.
But I'm just gonna say, he's still, like, he's older, and he's been there just as long as she has.
But he's also, like, trying to fucking run the Hermes cabin. She
is also a counselor.
Is she?
They're both... Yes, she's the head counselor.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah. That's why I'm just like, okay, just, like, make the Stoll brothers, like, lead the other ones, and let Luke...
I was gonna say, because, like...
Give Percy the tour.
Yeah,
Luke should be doing more shit.
I think it's just all comes down to Annabeth being nosy and wanting to know everything, so Chiron just sort of gives her jobs to do so that she... Yeah, they meet into Capital 11, and they meet a guy that we now know his name is Luke. They basically tell him he can have a spot on the floor, so I have questions about that.
I want to know how many kids are in there. Does it say? I don't think it says.
No, we don't get at least we don't get a number in this chapter.
Because they got bunk beds, and then they got a bunch of people on the floor.
And then Annabeth is making goo-goo eyes at Luke.
You know what? I actually missed that, because I didn't want to see it.
Yeah. She's, like, blushing, and then she looks at Percy, and it's just all gone. She's like, ugh, you're here.
I'm mad at this Annabeth, but it's fine.
And so, like, Percy literally has nothing except the Minotaur's horn.
Yeah,
so
that's his only
just
belonging.
Like, that's a cool part of the floor, but I know y'all will...
Probably
Hermes
steal it because Hermes is the god of thieves.
Yeah. And...
Are the clothes Percy's wearing even his? Like, I think they dressed him in camp clothes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who redressed him? That's what I want to know.
I hope it was Grover. Because they're the closest.
Grover or Argus are the only two I'd be okay with redressing him.
Okay, Argus has too many eyes. No.
Yeah, but I trust Argus.
But Grover and Percy shared a room, so I trust Grover.
I have a weird trust of Argus.
I mean, I like him. He's just there. I feel like we don't get enough Argus ever in this series. He's just kind of existing.
So sad. So Percy asks how long he's going to be in Cabin 11, and they're like, until you're determined, and we don't know what that means yet.
No, we don't.
So that's fun. And that makes Annabeth drag him out of the cabin.
Yeah, she's just... I want to know why she's like, oh, Jackson, come on.
She's having
Come
a
on,
problem.
you're so stupid. It's like, okay, this boy is dealing with a lot of shit. No one is explaining shit well to him. They're all just expecting him to get it.
And then, like, she's flipping out on him, like, because he doesn't know things. Like, it's not his fault.
He just lost his mother. That's, like, big on his mind, so he's not, thinking about what is going on here as much. And if he is thinking about what's going on here, he's thinking about the things that people aren't telling him. And he's not like, these are the things that make sense here. Obviously, it's demigods.
And, like, she's going off about how they wish they'd had the chance to fight the Minotaur. And he's just like, I don't want to. Yeah, thanks.
Because he didn't know shit. He would not want to fight the Minotaur. Annabeth, before you knew you were a demigod, would you have wanted to fight the Minotaur? No, you would not have.
So we finally learn what happened to Mrs. Dodds.
Yeah.
And that, like,
Technically, this is where we first learned she's a Fury.
Yeah. Well,
it's fine.
No,
I didn't spoil anything.
No, because they mentioned that she's a kindly one in the second chapter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we know Mrs. Dodds isn't necessarily dead, that she could reform at any moment.
And then, okay, so there's something that's said here. Chiron calls them archetypes. That language is never used again.
Nope. Never again.
Nope, just here. So I don't know why it's said. There is no consistency. It's fine.
It gets better in, like, the other series.
Yeah, Rick gets more consistent as we go along. So you don't just choose your cabin, is what Annabeth does explain. Still don't say anything about demigods, just your parent is what determines your cabin. Percy's like, my mom is Sally, the true goddess.
And then Annabeth starts talking about his dad, and he's like, well, he's dead.
That's actually what Cabin 13 is. It's Sally's cabin.
Got him. No, that's really what Cabin 12 is. She is the 12th Olympian.
No, I said Cabin 13, because that's my cabin.
I know, but like, we were talking about, there's different sources about the 12th Olympian, and my source is, it's Sally Jackson.
But you also said that Sally's a child of Hestia.
Yeah.
She could be a demigod. We never know who her parents are.
That's
so,
true.
I'm still waiting, Rick. Where is, like, the backstory on why Sally's parents died and why Zeus killed them? I have questions. Don't just make a character an orphan for no reason.
Sad. But then, like, Annabeth reads him, like, all the stuff that he is, and he's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, your dad's not dead. I don't know who he is, but he's not dead. Like,
and also
you guys are still being cryptic.
You probably have dyslexia and ADHD.
That's good. At least we get an explanation of that.
Many schools, like, all that stuff. She mentions that many of the teachers tend to be monsters, especially the ones pushing medication.
And the ambrosia nectar stuff, and she says, you're a half-blood. Not a demigod, you're a half-blood, because we're not going to say demigod yet.
And she doesn't get any stuff because fucking Clarice.
Fucking Clarice! We no longer have Nancy Bobo Fett. We have Clarice. Queen Clarice of Genovia.
I wish it was Queen Clarice of Genovia.
Before we recorded, I started saying that, like, yeah.
If there ever was a child of Hera, it would be Queen Clarice of Genovia.
You think so?
I'm shaking my head, yes, sorry.
I guess. They're both regal. But I prefer Queen Clarice.
She was literally trying to get her granddaughter married in the second movie.
Yeah. I have thoughts here.
Mine was a terrible thought.
Clarice, daughter of Ares. Like the war god? Wait, there are demigods here? Nope, still not saying that.
It explains the
and
bad
he says
smell.
it explains the smell.
I love it. Okay, so we get an initiation ceremony. I think I'll go on my rant after we talk about the initiation ceremony.
Yeah, Taylor's got her rant planned.
So...
Oh, also the fact that Clarice calls Annabeth Miss Princess.
Princess hair.
She does have princess hair. I love Annabeth.
So Clarice drags Percy to
Prissy.
the bathroom. Oh yeah, sorry, Percy to the bathroom. Specifically the girls' bathroom, so at least it wasn't a urinal. I feel like that'd be grosser.
How do you dunk someone's head in a urinal?
You don't.
Exactly.
But it would...
Make him eat like the
the
what is
soap.
it? The soap
cake
that's
thingy.
just in there.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And thankfully, like, he gives the Minotaur horn to Annabeth, which shows a little bit of trust there that was sort of formed.
Yeah. The only person he would give it to. The only way he would put it down.
Yeah. So...
And he thinks that he's going to be able to fight her, and then she just grabs his neck. Is like, nope.
It's like, nah,
Brings him
bruh.
into the bathroom.
And she pulls him over the toilet, so we're getting to the part that you read at the beginning. And just... He feels something in his stomach. And then all of a sudden... just water everywhere. And
do you want to
like,
talk about how sexual this is, too?
I do want to make the point. We think back to Nancy Bobbitt in the first chapter in The Fountain. Well, something similar happens.
I don't know. Is there, like, something going on here with Percy and water?
I don't know.
No. No, definitely not.
Okay, but yes, the phrase Clarice bent me over on my knees and started pushing my head. I know it says toward the toilet bowl the rest of the way, but just that phrase.
I don't know.
Clarice's grip on my hair loosened.
And I mean, if it wasn't water shooting everywhere, you could think that's something else, too.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very sexual scene.
All about hazing. And then poor Annabeth also gets covered in water during all of this, but she's too focused on, like, the fact that happened and he's completely dry.
Yeah. It's funny that she wasn't spared, but he's still dry, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
And then she wants him on her team for Capture the Flag.
And Clarice is very not okay.
So,
okay.
Your rant. Go on your rant.
I went to Penn State. Penn State had several really bad cases of hazing while I was a student there that mostly involved alcohol and resulted in some people's deaths. And they were one specifically was pretty well publicized my freshman year. So hazing, like, it really gets under my skin. Because people feel like they need to be part of these groups, but people take advantage of that. And then, because they had it done to them, thus they have to do it to other people, and it goes, like, out of control. And I remember my ex-boyfriend was in a fraternity, and I remember when it was the week, like, they were doing the hazing, and he wouldn't tell me exactly what happened, but I know, like, kids were known to drop out because, like, whatever they were doing was causing, like, fucking hallucinations.
The fuck?
I don't know. But I'm all for, like, doing something fun for initiating somebody in. Go for it. But if whatever you're doing causes harm to someone, mentally, physically, emotionally, fuck off. Just completely fuck off. The description of what happened the night the guy died my freshman year, I'm not going to recount it because it's absolutely, like, heartbreaking. And thankfully, a lot of fraternities at Penn State have slowly been shut down for some of their hazing practices. And another really dangerous one that's gone around some is conquering women. It's basically building up a body count that could also be, like, doesn't say whether or not it has to be consensual. And so there are also a few that were shut down because houses were covering up serial rapists. So I know that's like a real world, like, older kid example, but hazing just... If you are getting a new person in your group, take a step back and figure out if what you're doing could be harmful in any way. And that has been my PSA.
Yeah.
On that depressing note, do you have any plugs?
Oh, we're doing plugs now?
Unless you have any other thoughts.
What did I say? Oh, I had, like, one other thing.
Okay.
How many campers do you think Clarice has done this to?
Well, my question is, how many campers had it done before Clarice? Did Clarice have to have it done? Yeah. So that's my question, is how long has this been a practice? Did it start with Clarice?
Maybe it's been, like, an Aries cabin thing, where, like, somebody in the Aries cabin does it to all the new people, including the new Aries kids.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's always the Aries camp counselor that does it.
Yeah, so that's my guess, but I don't know.
It's a question.
A question, like, we never get answered.
I'm just thinking, like, who of the campers that we know of, who do you think's gotten dunked by Clarice?
Who
do you think was able to avoid it and, like, suffered her wrath?
I don't know if she was there when Annabeth arrived.
No, because Annabeth's been there the longest.
After Annabeth and Luke.
I mean, Annabeth could have had it done to her by a different Aries kid.
But then I feel like because she was so young, I feel like there was some sort of, like, wall of protection around her.
Perhaps. Maybe Luke had it done to him and he protected her. He was like, nope, I'll just suffer this. You will not.
Yeah. So we know they're
Luke was a good boy.
Two that had been there the longest. So I feel like and if it wasn't Luke, I feel like Chiron, like, really just sort of sheltered her for a while. Not completely, but
I feel like there's just, like, too much shit that, like, they're letting Annabeth do. She's grown up, like, too fast for a child. And
that's what trauma will do to you.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna need some therapy. Just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
She always has to be in charge of everything, you know? So I guess we could get to plugs now.
Well, I'll go first if you want.
Okay.
So, my plug today is a Netflix comedy special. Actually two. Both of them are by Hannah Gadsby. They're called Nanette and Douglas. I've watched them before, but I made Joe watch them this weekend, and Nanette's a very heavy one. There are references to rape and suicide and things like in that one. But it is a very, like, I wouldn't say that one's funny, but it's very insightful, and Hannah has a really wonderful way of talking and expressing her anger. And then Douglas was her follow-up, and that's fucking hilarious. And she sort of claps back at the people who responded so poorly to her first special by just, like, not giving a fuck.
Nice.
And it's lovely, and it's nice to see, like, an openly lesbian, neurotypical human, because she also is very frank about having autism, and it's all so good. I love it so much. If you're only gonna watch one of them, watch Douglas. If you want a good cry, watch Nanette. If you watch both of them, that's what I did. But once again, know that there's some trigger warnings there.
Cool.
I watch a lot of stand-up.
I don't watch stand-up.
I love it so much.
I know John Mulaney exists. Because
John Mulaney.
Popular culture. But I don't know or care anything else. let's see, my plugs. I started watching Merlin for the first time ever, the BBC series, because it's on Netflix, and I think my friend recommended it to me like almost 10 years ago now, so finally watching that. The Arthurian nerd in me is screaming a lot, but I do enjoy it despite it not being at all accurate to anything at all.
That's what we like to hear.
I'm really bad about things because I look into what things are based off of and I'm just like, but that's not right. At least Percy Jackson is like, okay, these things happened forever ago and this is what's happening now. So it's not like a direct adaptation. It's like those stories are true, but now it's happening in a different way. So
yeah, it's
different. I have a second plug, and that's Andrew for coming up with in case you missed it. Andrew. Maybe we have him planned as a guest for an episode. Maybe it'll be right after this book.
I bet Andrew gives good hugs. We'll never know because there's a fucking pandemic.
Can the pandemic end so I can hug all my friends?
I need to test
all the
whether
friends
or
that
not...
I've made during the fucking pandemic?
Yeah, I feel like I made so many more friends during the pandemic than I did, like, the first 22 years of my life.
That is a mood. That is just a mood.
God bless podcasts, man.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those friends we've made, we love you.
We love you.
If you're not one of our friends yet, become our friend. And then we'll love you too.
Yeah, and tell us that we need to get a Patreon.
We'll get there eventually. Eventually.
I have bonus ep thoughts, okay?
Taylor doesn't function as a person, so Charlie does the thinking.
I do a lot of thinking. I do too much thinking. It's a problem.
And then I sit around editing and then laugh at my own jokes, because that's how I am. I'm fucking hilarious. I'm trying out this new self-confidence thing our friend Jish does, where he just says, I am whatever, all the time, and he's the most confident person I know. So now I tell myself, I'm fucking hilarious. Oh, okay.
Are we done? Are we, is that all of our feelings and thoughts and our rants? We had a lot of rants.
Yeah, this was a very ranty episode.
Well,
we're recording a couple of days late because I'll tell them what happened. Why we're recording late. I spilled some Fruit Loops, and then I killed myself on said Fruit Loops by falling and smacking my head off the oven, and I took out the recycling bin, but I didn't take out the trash can, but the trash can was closer to me than the recycling bin was, and I still don't understand. So basically, I was, like, dead Thursday night when we normally record, so it's Sunday now.
I'm so worried about you. Like, on so many levels.
Yeah, I'm worried too. Joe was very concerned, although he picked up the recycling bin before he helped me.
God bless Joe.
Joe's great.
I'm such a big fan of Joe, and I've never met him.
I am also a big fan of Joe.
But you've met him.
Yeah, most of my family is very much a big fan of Joe, so that's also a positive. I'm pretty sure my baby sister loves him more.
Well...
And that's how my life is going.
That's what happens when you find a Joe. Everyone loves him more than you.
That's fair. It's fine.
It's fine. I think that's it. Okay, Taylor, get out of your fucking closet. Come out of your fucking closet.
You can follow the podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and at Of the Eldest Gods on Twitter. You can send an iris message to us through oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. You can follow me, Taylor, at Taylor from Cabin 6 on Instagram, and Historical Femme, spelled Femme, on Twitter. Catch me on episodes of the Restricted Section, Hell from Elsewhere, and True Stories of a Tryhard.
You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, mainly Instagram and Tumblr. But on Twitter, I'm at GreenPixie123, which I'm not salty about. No, not at all. I also have an art Instagram that I sometimes use at GreenPixieDraws. I sometimes do the YouTube thing on my channel, Charlie Mack. That's MACK. And I also have another podcast called Fandom's Gone Wrong, where my mom and I talk about movies, TV shows, books, and whatever other fandoms we enjoy. You can find that on all the major podcasting apps.
Our music was written by Nora Strauss-Riggs and recorded and edited by Ian Emmerich. You can find Nora at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your pod. She's the host of Siblings and Fandoms, where Nora and her sister Maddie talk about fandoms they're part of, ones they're not, and everything in between. She is also the host of Modern Musical Origin, which is an informative show delving into the history of different instruments and styles of music. You can find both of those pods on all the major podcasting apps. We are proud to be a part of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features the Restricted Section, a chapter-by-chapter Harry Potter pod, with lots of spoilers all the time, and the Movie Night Crew. Join some friends as they react to some terrible, some meh, and some really great movies.
What's up, potheads? It's me, your host, Christina. Welcome to the Restricted Section. No, we're not in Hogwarts. It's like a metaphor. Do you get it? Like, we're raunchy, and we get drunk, and we make sex jokes, and we have an all spoilers all the time policy, so, you know, it's like the Restricted Section. I've been told that explaining jokes makes them funnier. If you've ever wondered how the Marauders map actually works, if you've ever thought that maybe Snape sometimes wears jeans, if you've ever thought that Draco and Harry are for sure in love, I mean, they're for sure in love. If you've ever had a hard time deciding who you'd rather bang, Bill or Charlie, obviously Charlie, then this podcast is for you. You don't even have to do the reading. We'll do it for you. Catch the Restricted Section every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts, and find us online at Restricted Section Pod.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now, we are discussing Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday.
Why does this weird hazing practice sound very sexual? Ah.
That movie sucked. I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.